Treasurer Frydenberg, thanks for your time. The first two economic support packages have gone through the parliament. We're seeing these massive lines at Centrelinks around the country. Has the government done enough and quickly enough?
Well, last night the parliament was decisive and united, Kieran, and the package of measures that we've announced over the last 10 days equal $189 billion worth of support for the Australian economy. That's unprecedented. That's around 10% of GDP. There's an enormous amount of support for households to cushion the blow for people who may have tragically lost their job or seen their hours worked or their income fall as a result of the coronavirus, as well as very strong and significant support for small and medium-sized businesses, because we know the best way to keep Australians in a job is to keep businesses in business. So of course those queues outside Centrelink are very sad, and it's a very harsh reality of the challenges that we face. But I say to all those people, the government stands with you and will continue to do what is necessary to support the economy at this time.
Is there any way to get the payments out there sooner? Because obviously a lot of people are falling on hard times with the loss of jobs, the loss of income, and therefore struggling to pay their mortgages or their rent.
Well, we've actually waived the assets test, we've waived the waiting periods, so people need to go online, and if they have lost their job, that will be processed very quickly. At the same time, the first payment of $750 that we announced for 6.5 million Australians, people who are pensioners, people on disability support pension, people who are on the carers allowance, on family tax benefits, people on Commonwealth Seniors Health Card and a range of other income supports, will receive that from the 31st of March, and that is very shortly. At the same time, Kieran, the package of measures were very broad in scope. There's also this new coronavirus supplement, which is an additional $550 a fortnight, which will also be available to sole traders and casuals who may still be working, but again has seen their income cut. We've changed the deeming rates because that reflects the recent interest rate cuts. We've halved the drawdown rates to give retirees greater control over their savings. And we have allowed people the ability to access their superannuation tax-free up to $10,000 this year and up to $10,000 next year. And those people will need to be able to access their own money at this time because of the difficult challenges that they face. And of course, when it comes to businesses, we are giving cash payments of up to $100,000 to hundreds of thousands of businesses based on the size of their wages bill, as well as giving access to those cash payments to 30,000 not-for-profit organisations. We've provided a 50% wage subsidy to support 117,000 apprentices, and we're partnering with the banks on a 50-50 split to guarantee around $40 billion of new lending to small and medium-sized businesses, which will be interest-free for the first 6 months, and there will be 3-year loans up to $250,000. This is all about building a bridge to recovery while cushioning the blow for this very difficult time.
It is a substantial package, there's no doubt about it, but are you confident the structure of the business support will maximise the number of businesses that can keep their doors open through this terrible period?
Well, of course, this is not a set and forget, and we're already looking at what will be required in a third package. So that work is currently underway, but these two packages, the first being $17.6 billion and being focused on stimulus, and the second being $66 billion being focused on enhancing the safety net and providing increased welfare support. These packages are unprecedented in their scope, and they build, Kieran, on the $105 billion that have been injected to the economy between us and the RBA, and they build on the announcement by the banks that we work very closely with to ensure that their small business customers do not pay any interest or principal for the next 6 months, because we know that we have to be prepared for at least 6 months to weather this storm.
Would you encourage people where they can to avoid tapping into their superannuation at what is basically the bottom of the market or close to it?
Well, I think people need to use their savings as well as obviously rely on the safety net where they need to. In terms of their savings, you can already access superannuation for hardship. For example, if you're going to lose your home, you can access up to $10,000. But in that case, under the existing provisions, you would normally be taxed at around 22%. We're providing access to people's super that is tax-free, and I know that there's been a great deal of interest and support for this measure. The superannuation funds have around $300 billion of cash, and we know that this measure will put around $27 billion into the economy. So this represents less than 1% of the $3 trillion in superannuation, and we went to the prudential regulator before making this announcement, and they said that this should not have a negative impact on the industry overall. So we believe this measure is very considered, it's proportionate, and it will provide welcome relief for many Australian families.
As part of the third package that you said you're already working on, would you look at a UK-style wage guarantee? Is that something you're open to, given you have got now a $40 billion envelope which has passed the Parliament for additional spending in this third package when it's necessary?
Well, we had a look at the UK experience, and the UK were very clear that they were making a new program here. We've sought to use our existing tax and transfer system, and it's not been Treasury's advice to adopt the UK model. What we are focused on is enhancing the support for small businesses by linking the cash payments to their wages bill, Kieran, which will encourage them and enable them to keep more people employed, but at the same time enhancing that safety net by effectively doubling what was New Start, which is now called the Job Seeker payment, by adding this $550 supplement each fortnight, and that will cushion the blow for many people, particularly as we've waived the assets test and we've waived the waiting periods.
That's the safety net, but isn't it better to keep the connection between the employee and the employer? And why isn't that wage guarantee the better approach?
Because that would be creating a whole new system, and in terms of the speed and the efficiency of the response, using the existing tax and welfare system is much more optimal. The UK model doesn't apply, for example, to sole traders. We have more than 1 million sole traders here in Australia, but under our coronavirus supplement, you can see a sole trader being able to access that full $550 if their income falls below $1,086 a fortnight, Kieran. So we are giving the sole trader access to increased amounts of support as a result of our measure, which is not covered in the UK model.
You've held talks with your G20 counterparts in the early hours of this morning. Is there any further coordination that you can share with us? Basically the state of play internationally is quite dreadful right now.
Well, you're not wrong about that, and we have agreed to continue to have regular calls, and there will also be a leaders meeting in coming days. What was very clear from that call is from the IMF that they're not expecting growth in this year. They're expecting it to be negative. They're also saying that around 80 or more countries have already gone to the IMF for help. We are seeing cash being taken out of some of those developing economies as people are taking their money into safe havens. And so there is quite a lot of volatility in global equity, debt and credit markets, and that's why the Reserve Bank here has injected significant liquidity into our system.
And tonight we've got the National Cabinet meeting. As I understand it, rent assistance is something that would be considered. Can you give us any sense of where that's heading in terms of how governments can cooperate in providing people with rent assistance?
Well, I'm talking to my colleagues from the state treasuries about this particular matter. We had a hookup of state treasuries just a couple of days ago, and this morning I've had more calls with them. The states have the ability to waive their various land taxes that may be charged on landlords, and of course landlords need to be generous too about understanding that their tenants are going through a very difficult time when customers are not coming through the door. So Kieran, there's going to be a bit of give and take here, and I know the state governments are focused focused on it. We're also talking to the banks because it's important that the banks treat those landlords who may have loan exposures very generously at this time as well.
And well, just finally, I know you're busy, but what's your message to the Australian people at a time when the PM talks about the bridge across this period, but it's hard to see the other side right now?
Well, this is a 1 in 100-year event. This is a global pandemic, a global health crisis, which is having a very severe economic impact. It's going to be a long haul, but people need to respect each other and look after one another. And by working together, we will get through this. We've already done a lot, but there is a lot more also to do. But the Australian people need to be reassured that last night their Parliament worked effectively and quickly and decisively to provide the financial support that they need, as well as the regulatory relief that they need. We'll continue as a government to put in place the health measures and the economic measures to support the community at this very, very difficult time.
Treasurer, as always, I appreciate you making some time for us and our viewers. I know they'll very much appreciate that on a busy day, a busy period for you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kieran.